Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Agree to Disagree. I'm Dean Gutik, alongside with me, Aidan Chard, Noah Schwartz, and of course, Jack Casello. Boys, what's going on?
Not much.
I am loving it right now.
Been a fun week.
Been a
Yes.
really interesting week. We got a lot to talk about on this show. As a matter of fact, let's dive right into it. So, the NBA. Over the course of the last few weeks, of course, we got the NBA draft and NBA free agency started. A lot's been going on in the NBA. So let's start off with the draft. What did you, Noah and Jack, the Knick fans, what did you guys think of your picks? I know you guys had mixed reactions with Obi Toppin, but let's start off with you guys.
No, you want to start? Or
Yeah, sure. So Killian Hayes to me was the best guy for the Knicks in that late top 10 range. And unfortunately, as it happens every time with the Knicks, he was taken the pick before. It's sort of like a Steph Curry situation back all those years ago. But so they had to settle for Obi Toppin, who in that situation where there wasn't as much talent left on the board, I was okay with it. I thought it was the right pick for that spot. Not the guy I wanted, but the guy who I thought they had to take it with the 8th pick there. So I think he's going to be a good player. I think he's got a higher floor, so I think he'll be ready to play in the league quickly, probably contribute early on in his rookie season. And then hopefully he can develop into something that's just more than just a regular power forward. I think he can become something more than that. He's been compared to former Knick great Amari Stoudemire a lot, so that's a good sign. I don't hate the pick. I don't love the pick, but I think it was the right thing. And then later in the first round, they made a great selection, I think, of Emmanuel Quickly from Kentucky, a guy who kind of under the radar in terms of Kentucky players, where those guys are so hyped up and we hear so much about them, especially with Tyrese Maxey being an earlier first-round pick. But I thought he was a good selection too. I don't think many people thought he would get picked there, but I do like him as a player. He can shoot well. I think he'll become a good defender at point guard. So I'm happy with what the Knicks did, but more so than any pick or any selection they made, I thought Leon Rose did a good job trading to get future picks. He got a lot of picks in the 2023 draft. He made the Ed Davis trade to get some young guys yesterday. So good job by Leon Rose. I don't think a lot of Knicks fans trust the front office. They haven't in the last 20 years, but this was a decent start in his first draft.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you for the most part. I will say, I preferred more, and we talked about this on Dean and I talked about this when we went on Lucas Jaffett's podcast, Share the Rock. Everybody go check that out. We talked about this a lot. I was in agreement with Lucas. I wasn't super high. I like Killian Hayes, but we both really liked Halliburton. I would have been really happy if we got him. But this didn't surprise me. It was rumored that the Knicks were going to try and trade up to 5 to get Obi Toppin, but fortunately he fell to them. So at least they didn't give up assets. But I understand why they like Obi Toppin. He's the guy.
That would have been pretty funny if they did that.
Oh yeah.
So Knicks too.
Yeah, but whatever.
It
worked out here. But otherwise, Obi Toppin, like I agree with you. He's kind of he's like Amari Stoudemire. I compare him. He reminds me a lot of, not necessarily the amount of hype, but he reminds me a lot of Blake Griffin coming in. He's going to bring a lot of electrifying dunks and excitement, stuff like that. He's probably a better shooter than Blake Griffin was coming in. The only thing that makes me worried is that he's 22. Now, I definitely think no matter what, he's just too athletic to not be a solid NBA player. But I don't know how big what his ceiling is. So that's the only concern with that pick. I definitely think he's going to be a solid NBA player, though.
I agree. I agree with most of what you guys have both said. I mean, he's going to be a very good player, I think. It's not a waste of a pick. It is probably disappointing for the Knicks to not be picking a guard there, though. That's really what they needed.
I'm all in on Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, seriously.
But Obi Toppin is not going to be a bad player.
Yeah, exactly.
He has, like you said, his ceiling is unknown. It could be really high, but he is 22. That's pretty old for a rookie in basketball. And so he is going to have a very high floor, which is going to be good. So, what you're getting right away. You're getting a guy who probably is able to start right away, and he's going to make an impact on the team. The question is, will it be enough? And 5 years down the road, will he still be with you guys?
Right. I totally agree with what you said, Aidan. He's the safer pick, but I don't know if he can become that next level player that I think Knicks fans are looking for.
I do like, though, he's from New York. You saw he was in tears. He had tears of joy. He's excited to play for the Knicks. So who knows?
I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Jack. Obi Toppin going to the Knicks. At least someone who's from New York City. He's gonna play with that fire. He's happy where he's at. This is a team that he loves, that he wanted to go to. He's gonna be playing for his hometown, and maybe he could be the hometown hero for the Knicks. I love the Quickly pick. Any Kentucky guy, any Calipari guy, I think could thrive. And
Kevin Knox.
oh well, never mind. I take that back.
Porter
Thanks
Jr.
for having me bite my words.
Michael Porter Jr. was there. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was there.
Never mind.
Kevin Knox.
Oh man. Oh.
Brutal. It's brutal.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a pretty good draft. I admit I did not follow most of the second round, but the first round I was following. I was happy to see the Celtics got some good looking players.
Steal of the draft. Celtics.
Yeah. Aaron Nesmith is going to be something special.
Definitely.
Let me tell you.
Getting him down at 14. 14 was good, 14, right?
I thought he was going to go 10 to the Suns.
The one thing I am a little bit worried about is, did we really need that position? I don't know. They might be trying to get him to take Gordon Hayward's spot. It's not a perfect fit, but that's probably the most realistic thing I can think of if they want him starting.
Well, I think, Aidan, the bigger thing for the Celtics right now, and we'll see how this goes. I mean, Danny Ainge has tried to make plays for big stars in the past, and they just have so many young guys that if you package a Nesmith, if he kind of becomes something, a Grant Williams, and they have other guys, if they can package some of those players, maybe they'll be able to bring in not necessarily a replacement for Gordon Hayward, but just a guy who can kind of take his spot and maybe even be a better player than Gordon Hayward. They've been in on Kevin Durant. They got Al Horford. They've been in on big stars before. I think at some point they'll work their way to that again.
And the Celtics do have a lot of young talent right now. I mean, even if you take Tatum and Brown and Smart off the board, because they're probably pretty untouchable right now. I mean, you got potentially Naismith, like you said, Williams. We still don't know about a lot of our bench guys like Carson Edwards and Taco Fall. They still have a lot of potential. There is some definite capital. I think Taco Fall is going to be a superstar. I could see that look, Jack.
Taco
is going to be the next
Shaq. I see him hold the ball like up here.
Taco Fall is going to be like in I can't remember the character's name, but if you guys see One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, there's a character who just gets the ball and he stands up above the rim and he just drops it in. That's what Taco Fall is going to do.
Yeah. He's an attraction.
Now I want to ask you guys, who was your favorite, the steal of the draft, your favorite pick, and what do you think was the biggest reach?
Tough question.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna honestly say, in terms of steal, I gotta say Naismith for the Celtics. And I gotta say reach. I mean, just because I feel like just it was so out of the blue. Even though I think it wasn't horrible, but I gotta go with Williams to the Bulls.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of agree with Jack there. I think the biggest steal outside of Nesmith might have been RJ Hampton. People have talked about him.
Yeah, that was a steal.
People have talked about him being really, really good. He's super young and super raw. But for him to go in the 20s to Denver, and by the way, I got to say this too. Denver, who does a better job than Denver of taking guys that fall in the draft and making them something? Michael Porter, they've got Bol, who was projected to be a lottery pick, and now they've got RJ Hampton. So 3 years in a row they've done this. So good job, Denver. He to me has to be considered one of the steals. We don't know what it'll become, but that would just look that way based on his potential. And then in terms of a reach, Patrick Williams might be one. Trying to think. Devin Vassell, I guess maybe people thought he might get picked a little bit lower, but I do like his fit with San Antonio. I don't know. There's a lot of guys, and who knows honestly who's going to become what in 5 years from now. It's so hard to tell.
I agree. I agree on the reach with you guys with the Bulls, but for a steal, my steal is whoever signed Sheck West in free agency.
You're funny.
I'm kidding. No. I think Naismith was probably a pretty good steal. Honestly, I think LaMelo Ball, you could consider that a steal. He definitely has the potential to be the best player in this draft. So him getting taken at 3 could be in a few years could be like Michael Jordan going 3.
Oh, you know who I forgot to mention is the steal? I'm sorry too. Precious Achua. the guy from Memphis going to Miami. He is such a Miami Heat player, plays so hard. I liked watching him in college. I forgot to mention him, but he'll be one of the steals of the draft too. He'll contribute.
Aidan, I like LaMelo Ball going where he went, but all I know is now from Charlotte, all I want to see LeVar Ball versus Michael Jordan 1-on-1.
Oh man.
That's all I care about.
We're gonna see it.
Biggest deal I'd say is Denny Avdija falling to the Wizards. I did not expect Avdija to fall out of the top 5. It was surprising he only fell out of the top 5. I thought he was a top 5 talent. He could have gone somewhere like the Bulls or the Cleveland Cavaliers, but at least he's found a home in Washington. You also got guys like Maxey. I love the Maxey pick to Philadelphia. I really thought that was a huge deal. My biggest reach is I'm going to say Jalen Smith to Phoenix.
They already
have a guy like DeAndre Ayton. I thought they should have taken somebody else, like maybe a power forward, a pure one, or a small forward.
No,
I disagree.
I thought Aaron Naismith, he would have fit perfectly right there.
Me too. I think Naismith could have done perfectly in Phoenix, but now he's a Celtic. But I thought Jalen Smith could have fit elsewhere. I even think Brooklyn was going to pick him at one point in my mock draft, but I don't think it was no need for the Suns to get out of the way and draft him.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. On to the second part of the NBA, free agency. Yeah. So a lot of moves have been made.
Noah goes last.
No, can I go first? Actually, fine, I'll go last.
I think we should just say Noah doesn't get to talk.
Yeah,
we don't care what you have to say. The Lakers signed someone. I don't even care. Okay, moving on from the Lakers.
Thank you very much, Aidan. A lot of moves have been made. A lot of new faces in different places. I want to start off with you, Aidan. What moves stood out to you? And of course, if you want to talk about the Celtics, go right ahead.
I will admit I follow the Celtics way more than I follow any other team. Basketball is still not my strongest suit. So of the ones that I really know about the impact it's going to make, Gordon Hayward, I think signing with Charlotte is going to be, that's going to be a difference maker very soon, especially with them getting Ball right at the top of the draft this year. That's a good start for a team that's been down at the bottom for a little while now.
Yeah.
I guess I got my two teams that I really like before I mention the Lakers. I'll wait till.
No, you mentioned the Clippers. I'll mention the Lakers. Let me handle it.
Right,
no, I think Jack is definitely the bigger Lakers fan here.
Yeah. All right, but anyway, teams that, well, first of all, the thing I'm happy about the most is that my Knicks, we didn't do anything stupid this offseason. And actually, I'm not expecting to win, but at least I'm actually I'm more excited than I have been in past years, because at least this season, young players are actually going to get to play, and the team they're not signing a dumb 30-year-old veteran who's going to be who's just a role player. Playing is more important, like they did last year with Marcus Morris. This year, RJ Barrett looks like he could be the man this year. At least they kind of look set up to do that. Obi Toppin's going to play. Mitchell Robinson is actually going to get to play. So I'm happy about that. They signed a couple small people like Alec Burks, whatever. Nerlens Noel could be a backup. Austin Rivers yesterday. He's a point guard who could shoot the ball a little bit. So nothing bad with the Knicks. Two teams I really liked. I really like what Utah. I'm talking just for this year. I like what Utah did. They brought back Derek Favors. They got a nice strong bench unit now with Ingles, Favors, and Jordan Clarkson. And I also like what the Hawks did, signing Danilo Gallinari.
Yeah, the Hawks had a really good offseason. Let's move on to our next segment. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'll go right ahead.
No, Dean, you want to talk Clippers first, and I'll go last?
Why? So I know your game plan. I think
no. Seriously, I prefer going last. Go ahead.
So you could bash the Clippers and that.
I'm not gonna. I swear to God, I'm not gonna bash the Clippers at all. I swear to God.
Right. Well, anyways, as a Clipper fan, I'm a little upset right now. Harrell leaving. JaMychal Green. They haven't made. I thought the Clippers would at least make some moves, go out for a point guard. They haven't made any significant moves. I think they need another power forward or big man. I do love the Serge Ibaka signing. I think it was an upgrade over Montrezl Harrell. I think Ibaka's a better shooter. He's a better perimeter defensive guy. I think he's going to bring more to the table for the Clippers, and plus he has that chemistry with Kawhi Leonard. So I think Kawhi knows some of the guys that he's going to play with. I'm happy with the Ibaka signing. But the Clippers have failed, in my opinion, in terms of trying to get a guard and get another big man. Rondo's out of the discussion now. Atlanta, who's building a nasty team right now, and I just want the Clippers to get a point guard. That's all I'm gonna say. Noah, please take it away.
Okay, so if I'm comparing Lakers and Clippers, let me put it this way. What the Lakers did, and I think I've been thinking about what I was going to say on the show for the last couple of days since they made these moves, but I think for the Lakers, they're actually a more talented team than they were 4 days ago. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're a far better team. I think adding Montrezl Harrell was a good signing, and I think adding Marc Gasol was a good signing. But here's the problem: those guys are both very, very talented players. Obviously, Harrell's one of the elite role players off the bench of the league, and Gasol's maybe a Hall of Famer. Like, they're good players. But the thing with the Lakers is every night last year, what was the one thing besides having LeBron and Anthony Davis that they were always able to hang their hat on? And that was they were the bigger, more physical team against every other opponent in the NBA last year. They had Dwight, they had JaVale. They were just a huge team, and they would throw lobs and play over the rim. That was how they really beat you. And they could just use their athleticism. And even though they weren't a great shooting team, they were just so damn huge. Now, although you do add some size in Gasol, he's a 7-footer. Harrell's only 6'6". He's not a defender. He's not going to block shots the way that either of the centers did. And I think so. Even though the Lakers have better players now, because objectively Gasol and Harrell are better players probably than Dwight and JaVale ever have been recently. I think at the same time they lose their edge in that they don't have that same athleticism, same over the top verticality that they've had. And so they'll lose that giant advantage, but they did solve their biggest issue in playmaking with Dennis Schroeder. So I'll say that I think the Lakers are a better team. I don't know how much better. I think they should be the heavy favorites over the Clippers, but I do love the Ibaka signing. I think he's a better player than Harrell. So I'm not going to bash the Clippers. I think that they have holes. They definitely have a lot of pieces they should fill, but the Lakers did okay. They didn't do as well as I thought maybe they were going to do. And that's just objectively how I feel about it.
Okay, I'm very stunned by that because if I'm a Lakers fan, I am through the roof. I thought this was an absolute amazing offseason for them. So, first trading for Dennis Schroeder, fixing your problem. Now you have a guard who would score potentially 8. He'd score 8.
That I agree with. He can play that, definitely.
Wesley Matthews.
Yeah, Wes Matthews, perfect replacement for Danny Green. They fixed their bench scoring problem now. They have Schroeder. Their second unit's going to be Schroeder, Kuzma, and Harrell. And they re-signed KCP and Marc Gasol. He's a better you could argue he's a better defender than JaVale McGee. He could stretch the floor. He could shoot about 38% from the outside. It opens up so much for their offense. This is if the Nets don't trade for James Harden, this is going to be a cakewalk for them.
I don't know about that, Jack. Seriously, they lose their edge there. Now all of a sudden they've got to rely more on 3-point shooting. They've got to rely heavily on Marc Gasol to play probably close to 30 minutes a game. And at that age, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. I think the big thing the Lakers need to do now is look for another big guy just to give them some additional flexibility in the front court. They don't want to play Anthony Davis at center. Clearly, they didn't do that much of last year. So they need to find another big because Harrell's too small. We know that. He got exposed in the bubble, and Dean first to admit it. He was terrible in the bubble after losing his grandma, unfortunately. But he was bad. And then you have Gasol. How many minutes can he give you? Can he play? What can he give you? I think they need another big, somebody who's going to set screens, run to the rim, dunk. I think Dwayne Dedmon could be a fit. There are others potentially, but we're really down to the bargain bin guys of the free agent market. So it's going to be tough for the Lakers to get that additional piece. I think they're good. I just don't think they're a perfect team. They still have flaws. They're just different flaws than they had last year.
Yeah, I was going to agree with you and say, although Harrell's a great off the bench player, and hence why he won Sixth Man of the Year, against Porzingis and against Jokic, you saw he got exposed, and he's undersized. He has not matched up well against guys like that.
Right. Yeah, but the good news is now he doesn't have, well, like you said, because now like AD is going to be the guy that guards that giant 7-footer. He can take a 4 now more so than he had to last time. So I think that's going to be a difference, a big difference. So I don't think it's going to hurt you as much. So I do think these are all great signings for the Lakers. I think this is probably one of the best teams in terms of talent, easily one of the best teams, probably is the best team LeBron's ever played with, in my opinion.
None of it matters, though, because the Lakers aren't even going to come out on top of the West.
Of course.
Who, Oklahoma City again?
Wait, let's see.
The The Sacramento Kings.
Let's go Trailblazers. I don't even care.
I was gonna get into them. I actually did. I loved what the Trailblazers did.
So did I, by the way. Good point, Jack.
Yeah, they did a great job this offseason. Bringing back Enes Kanter. They traded for Robert Covington, signed Derek Jones. They fixed their wing defensive problems. They brought back Melo. Rodney Hood's going to come back. They're gonna be a good team.
Yeah, I think Atlanta's done a really good job in the post.
Yeah, definitely.
Rondo, Gallinari, Bogdanovich could be coming to the team.
How many teams has Rondo played for now?
Let me think.
Let me think. You can go, Jack.
Celtics, Bulls, Mavericks, Lakers,
Kings.
Hawks. Did he play for the Kings?
Yeah, for 1 year.
Something tells me he played for the
Pelicans.
Pelicans, Kings.
I think that's 7 teams.
I'm gonna look
7th
right now just to be sure, but
yeah, I wouldn't have minded. I was actually hoping. I can't believe I said this. I was actually hoping the Knicks were going to sign Rondo for like a 1-year contract.
I mean, he would have fit. But...
Yeah, no, he's also. I just want the Knicks for this season because they don't have a franchise point guard. I just want a point guard who knows how to run an offense and is not going to try and that doesn't have a score first mentality. And that's exactly what Rondo would have been.
Well, Jeremy Goldstein gives the Elfrid Payton re-signing an A++, so let's shout him out with that.
I mean, I agree. Like Elfrid Payton's not in that same category. Like he doesn't try to score. It's not his first priority. So I mean, it's not like a Emmanuel Mudiay.
I want to point this out too, guys, because I think this is a major part of the free agency period that we've had. The Western Conference, and I think the Lakers are one team that's gotten better. I think we can all agree, even though maybe I think a little bit less than you guys do. The Western Conference is significantly weaker than it was a week ago. Like Houston may trade all their guys. We don't know. The Clippers seem to have lost a lot. Denver lost a ton, including Jeremy Grant, and there's no way they can replace Jeremy Grant. They have nobody to do that. You like what Utah did, Jack, but I don't think they have enough to be in the top tier.
Yeah, no. Well,
Phoenix and Dallas are probably too young. So I think some of the top contenders with the Clippers and Denver, the Golden State, Klay Thompson's now out for the year. The Western Conference is definitely a lot
going down. That
less difficult.
That dramatically changes the West, just because I mean I think we all, even with the way that the draft and the free agency has gone so far, if Klay Thompson is still in, the Warriors are definitely a top 2 team in the West.
Yeah.
Taking that out, does that give the Lakers another super easy path to the championships? It's looking like it right now.
I want to make a bold prediction. You mentioned one of those teams. I think not this season, but next season, after this season, when the offseason comes, I think the Mavericks are going to win the NBA championship. They're going to make a major move next offseason.
I've been saying Giannis.
Knicks is going to do it before Dallas.
Giannis, maybe Anthony Davis. Who knows? I think Anthony Davis is going to sign a 2-year deal with a 1 year out.
I agree with that.
I would do if I were him.
I heard the reason for that actually, though, Jack, is that he thinks, or maybe has some reason to think, that Giannis is going to avoid taking the Supermax, go into free agency next offseason, and then have AD re-sign on a new deal to save room for Giannis, which I would hate because I don't want the Lakers to do that. That just sounds like a horrible idea. But I did hear that in a rumor today. I hope it doesn't happen, but I did hear it.
Yeah, I heard that from Dean. Let me just say this. There is 0% of that happening, and I'm going to state this right now. If Giannis does that, that is worse than Kevin Durant.
Biggest snake move in the world.
Definitely.
Oh, I don't know about it. It's worse than Kevin Durant.
Oh, absolutely.
That is worse.
100% is.
You're gonna join a team that has 2 top 3 players.
Oh, and then you add Giannis, and all of them are top players.
They're probably 2 and 3, and you're 1. So you're gonna join numbers 2 and 3. They like that. Never.
All right.
And they're
Would
probably
it be worse than Kawhi joining last year when there was all those rumors about that happening?
Almost,
yeah.
Almost.
All right.
All right, on to our next topic. Taysom Hill. So the Taysom Hill-led Saints defeated the Atlanta Falcons. Peep Aidan's background. I think it's very appropriate for Aidan to start this. Please take it away, Aidan.
Franchise quarterback of the future.
Before we get started on this, I just want to Noah has given me permission to do this. I just want to read some texts.
Oh yeah, I remember this yesterday.
When this decision was hey Aidan, enjoy starting a freaking tight end at QB this weekend. So stupid. Jameis can do way better. He's not Lamar, he's a tight end. Let's see. Can't wait for him to get benched and move back to tight end by the half. Let's see. I do not understand for the life of me why Sean Payton loves this guy so much. Let's see.
You said in Peyton we trust.
And then, yes, and I said in Peyton we trust. And in Peyton we trusted. The Saints, it wasn't even close after like the first 5 minutes of the game. Once again, the Saints are the best team in the NFC, and it's not even close. They showed it this week because even with, Michael Thomas for most of the season has been a non-factor. Today, or this week, he actually did kind of well. But Alvin Kamara, for the first time in his NFL career, was held without a catch. And that has been something that over the past 3 years has really kept the Saints afloat, especially over this season, especially with Michael Thomas being out or unproductive. And so the fact that the Saints were still able to win, not only without Drew Brees at quarterback, with a third string quarterback, and with arguably their best offensive player not playing his best game, playing his worst game of the season, and they won so handily, even though it's over a bad team, I don't care. That was a great sign. It was fun to watch. And Taysom Hill, I think, has shown that he has what it takes to potentially take over after Brees leaves.
All right. Here's what I'll say about this. I do agree with you on some points there. I think one thing he's got to do better. I think he's got to get more people involved. Like, you can't just throw the ball to Michael Thomas. Like, I liked at the end, like when the game was pretty much over, though, he was starting to get Sanders involved a little bit. He was trying to get other guys involved.
Sanders had, like, there was a 75-yard touchdown that got called back for
I was annoyed about that.
holding.
I was playing Sanders in our fantasy league. I was annoyed, and I was going against Michael Thomas. So, stop throwing him the ball.
Sanders did have some nice grabs. One of them didn't count.
Yeah, but here's what I'm going to say about the Saints. I agree with you that they are the best. They are the best team in the NFC. And I've been telling, I always say, I want the Saints to win. I want Drew Brees to win. I've been rooting for the Saints. The one thing that excited me yesterday about the Saints more than anything, their defense the last 3 weeks is completely coming into their own,
especially in the secondary.
Yeah, no, they've always been great at stopping the run. What they've always struggled in is the pass. Their pass rush has been great, and like Janoris Jenkins looks like he's finally figured out how to be that shutdown number 2 corner alongside Lattimore. The defense is finally ready. I think this team is absolutely primed, and this is their best chance to win the Super Bowl.
Trey Hendrickson has been amazing this year for the New Orleans Saints. Not to mention the defense has done really well for the New Orleans Saints. Can
I respond to my
go for
text?
it? Yeah,
go ahead.
All right. So this is what I'll say about Taysom Hill. First of all, congratulations to Taysom Hill on a great first start. I got to give him all the credit. He was fantastic. Now on to reality. This is not going to last. Everybody knows it's not going to last. This guy, let's just be honest about it. He's not a quarterback. He plays tight end. He's not a quarterback. He's not a thrower. He's more of a running back, honestly, than he is a quarterback because he's such a great runner. And I compared him when I was talking about him yesterday to Cam Newton, but without an arm. If you give Cam Newton the ball at the 5-yard line and say, here, run forward, he's the most unstoppable player in the NFL because he's just so big, so strong, so powerful. That's Taysom Hill, but Taysom Hill can actually catch the ball. So as a gadget player, he's incredible. I got to give him that. He's the best in the world at what he does. But as a quarterback, it's just not going to last. Eventually, teams are going to figure this guy out and realize what it takes to stop him. And unfortunately, he's not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, as much as teams have figured him out this year, he has the talent and the capability and the ability to get back to his MVP form. Taysom Hill doesn't have that talent. Taysom Hill, once he gets figured out, he's done. So either Jameis Winston's going to be the future quarterback of this team, or they're going to have to draft somebody or go a different route because it's not going to be Taysom Hill.
What I disagree with that is that he is a great runner. Yes, we've seen that. He's a fantastic runner. But we've also seen him throw 60-yard bombs. That's not something that every scrambling quarterback can do. And yes, Lamar Jackson can do that too. But your average third-string quarterback can't come into the game and throw it 60 yards downfield. And Taysom Hill wasn't just coming into the game and doing that. A lot of people have said he doesn't have the stamina to last a full game. We've seen that he does. He can keep throwing it deep. He has the ability to. He has the confidence to, something that Brees doesn't right now. And his accuracy is good enough to have his receivers catch those deep passes. Again, Emmanuel Sanders had a nice deep catch early in the game, and then one that went for a touchdown that got called back. he has the arm. So it's not like he's not passing well. He threw for 220 something yards and no interceptions. That's pretty freaking impressive.
No, it is impressive, but he's just not a quarterback. It's just, it's just that simple.
It's gonna here. This is easily the easiest comparison for Taysom Hill. Could he like? I agree. Like he could come. He could be a solid backup. Could he come into it? Like say Drew Brees is out, he can come in for a game or two. He can keep you afloat. I don't know if he could do it for the 16-game season, but the guy I compare him to the most, and this is clear for me, is like I'm sure Noah remembers him, was Brad Smith of the New York Jets. He plays that exact role. Brad Smith would all, and I think you guys have the same special teams coordinator with that the Jets had at the time, Mike Westhoff. So it doesn't surprise me that it works so well. So he would come in, he'd play Wildcat QB. He'd always do the read option. He'd throw the ball every now and then. It's kind of that situation. It's more so they do it a lot more than the Jets did. So it's that.
I do agree with you, Noah. I think Taysom Hill does function better as that utility guy, that Swiss Army knife. But the fact is, the Saints are paying him big money right now to be the third string quarterback. To be
a tight end. No. He's not. They're not paying him to be a third string quarterback.
They're paying him. They're paying him to fill that hole, to fill that gadget. That is not something that you can continue to do. You can't keep affording that year after year. So when his contract is done with the Saints, either he's going to sign with the Saints for the same amount of money, and you can't do that again to just have him play that same role. You need to have him be a quarterback, or he's going to be like Teddy Bridgewater. People are going to see how he's doing right now, and he's going to go sign a big contract to start somewhere else. It's going to happen.
All right, so let me ask you this, Aidan, and just before we end the segment. If you are the Saints and you're Sean Payton, if Drew Brees retires after this year, I don't know how the season will go, but let's say that happens. Are you saying to me right now that you believe that Taysom Hill could be the franchise quarterback next year, the year after, and the year after, and the year after for the Saints? Or is it going to be Jameis, or is it going to be somebody else? Because I don't think any of us here besides you believe that he'll be the franchise.
I am saying I would rather have Taysom Hill the next 3 years than try to re-sign Jameis, because Jameis is on a 1-year contract, or to try and go draft someone who we have no idea whether or not they're going to work.
So you want it to be the franchise quarterback?
We're not going to be getting the first overall pick in the draft. We're not going to be getting a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields. We're not getting a guy who's guaranteed to be a franchise quarterback. If we're taking a quarterback, it's going to be a guy at the end of the first or in the second round where it's a gamble. They could be great. They could be an absolute bust. You could get a Jimmy Garoppolo. You could get a Mason Rudolph. That's where the Saints are sitting.
Baby.
That's where the Saints are sitting right now in terms of a quarterback for the future. Jameis Winston, if they can get a contract negotiated, it's a great idea. But can you really make it reasonable to pay 2 quarterbacks high-level salaries and only be starting one? No.
Aidan, now let me ask them before we move on. I want to say I think Taysom Hill could be a great utility guy, but you guys mentioned, of course, drafting one or having Winston. Do you think the Saints have the possibility of signing or trading for one? If there's someone out there.
Well, they want to sign like a guy. Garoppolo, I think, is more than likely going to get let go.
If they,
Darnold.
I was going to say Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, I was going to say if they decide to not stick with Hill as the starter for the future, I can definitely see Darnold and Haskins being 2 guys that the Saints aggressively go after this year in free agency.
Sean Payton would do wonders for both of them.
Yeah, and I'd way rather see Sam Darnold be playing as a starting quarterback to Taysom Hill. I mean, nobody's going to question the talent differential there.
Especially, I wouldn't mind. I want to see Darnold go to a team that I'm actually I like to root for. I like the Saints.
The Saints would turn Darnold into an MVP.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We've talked about this.
On to our next topic. Aidan, for you, your all-time Red Sox team.
A week late because I'm really bad at getting things done on time. So we've been doing our series of all-time teams. So this week I'm doing my all-time Red Sox team. I asked my dad to help because I know a lot of Red Sox players from the 2000s and onward. But he's really good about the Red Sox of the 80s, 90s, a little bit of the 70s too. I tried to pull from all over the Red Sox timeline, but
are you doing just the starting 9 or are you doing the whole team?
I did a whole team, pitchers, bench.
Yeah, okay.
Bullpen, yeah. All that included. And so my my reasoning for it, like my what's the word?
Guidelines.
Guidelines, yes. Was obviously they had to play for the Red Sox and they had to be known for their time with the Red Sox. I didn't set a specific time that they had to play, but I didn't want to choose a guy who, played a season at the twilight of his career with the Sox and then count him. That's why I'm saying this now. I didn't put Babe Ruth in this lineup because he was good with the Sox, but he wasn't,
He's a Yankee.
He wasn't Babe Ruth when he was with the Red Sox.
Right.
So let's start off with pitchers. Obviously, I think some of them are pretty obvious. The ace of the team, Pedro Martinez, the best pitcher to ever play for the Red Sox, not even close. Right behind him, a hopefully future Hall of Famer, Roger Clemens.
Cheater.
Allegedly. At number 3, this one kind of, you could question it, but I put Cy Young. Cy Young did play for the Sox for a handful of years back in the 1900s. He was more well known for his time with other teams, but he was a great pitcher. That's why there's an award named after him.
Yep.
At number 4, we got Louis Tiant.
Great pitcher from the 70s.
Great pitcher back in the 70s, pitched for forever. He's one of my dad's favorite players. And then our last one, I went through a couple guys, but I decided I wanted to do something a little bit interesting, so I put Josh Beckett, who's definitely, he might not have the numbers of some other Red Sox pitchers to play, but he is undoubtedly a fantastic pitcher, and he was part of some great World Series teams with the Sox. For our relievers, our first guy, we got Tim Wakefield, one of the best knuckleballers. I almost put him in as a starter because he did start for a while.
All right, Dickie.
But I stuck with him as a reliever. Right behind him, Bill Lee. And then I'm just going to go through the rest of them. Derek Lowe, Mike Timlin, Alan Embry, Bob Stanley, and then, of course, our closer, Jonathan Papelbon. It wasn't even close. It was him or Kimbrel, who was good for a season and then kind of took a dip right after that.
I like JP. He ain't afraid to get in the person's face. He went over and knocked Bryce Harper out.
Yeah, Papelbon was always an absolute blast to watch.
Yeah.
He had some crazy stuff. All right, for my lineup, do you guys want to hear the lineup or do you want me to go through the positions?
Positions.
Yeah,
Positions. All right. First base wasn't really a question. Carl Yastrzemski.
What? It's not Huckner?
Shut up, Jack.
I thought about it.
He's such a good defender.
I thought about it until I realized that Yastrzemski played first. I thought Yastrzemski played outfield. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, I thought he played outfield too.
I think he did. I think he played both, but he did play some first base.
Okay. I didn't know that.
At second base, I was talking with Noah about this before. I was really back and forth. I thought Bobby Doerr should be the second baseman. My dad and Noah apparently thought Dustin Pedroia should be the second baseman. Both of them are great Red Sox players. I think Doerr has the stats, but in the end, I did side with Noah and my dad. So I went with Pedroia because when you're in that locker room, you can't take out, that leadership aspect, that personality. That's something that you can't replace. Third base, we got Wade Boggs, not Rafael Devers. Sorry, guys.
I like Devers, but Boggs has got to be.
At shortstop, of course, Hanley Ramirez. No, I'm kidding. Nomar Garcia-Pera. We traded him right before that 2004 series. I wish we could have kept him to get the ring, but it is what it is. Left field, we got Manny Ramirez. Manny doesn't play. He can't do anything except for stand out in left field and then, hit a couple home runs every season. I miss having him on the team. Center field, without a doubt, Ted Williams. And right field, of course, is Mookie Betts. My dad also disagreed with that one because he was only with the Sox for a few years.
Oh, Mookie.
But I think if you're asking me, that might be the most stacked outfield in baseball history. I mean,
Williams probably the Yankees are the only team that can compete with that.
Yeah, definitely. And then
what about Jim Rice? You didn't put him in there. I thought you were gonna put him in there.
Jim Rice. I
or Dwight Evans too.
I wanted to put in Jim Rice but I couldn't take out Ramirez, Williams, or Betts.
Yeah. Also, just a quick question. I want to make sure I did. Did you for your starting pitching? Did you say Pedro Martinez?
Yeah, he was the ace.
Oh, okay. I don't know why.
Don't you worry, I would not leave out that guy.
Yeah. I
Catcher was another difficult one, but I think Carlton Fisk is easily the best hitter in Red Sox history as a catcher. And then DH, of course, Big Papi, the greatest designated hitter to ever play. And then on our bench, the greatest utility man. We just talked about the greatest utility guy in football. The greatest utility guy in baseball is easily Brock Holt.
Oh my God.
I had
former All-Star.
I love that guy. He's a Red Sox for life. I don't even care. Only player to hit for the cycle in postseason history.
Yeah, that's incredible.
He's a great player, and he can literally play any position. You put him in, and he'll play it, and he can hit pretty freaking well too. Backup catcher, I had to put Veritek, of course.
Yep.
Oh wait, should I put up my picture of Veritek that I got back here? One sec. There we go.
Nice.
Love that.
Classic.
one of my favorite photos. And then for the other three bench positions, I decided to basically just do, a pinch runner, a pinch hitter, and a pinch fielder. So my pinch hitter, Johnny Pesky, he can play basically anywhere in the infield, and he's a great hitter. Pinch runner, I picked Jacoby Ellsbury. He's a speed demon. And
Yankee fan favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can put him anywhere in the outfield. We loved him until he went to the Yankees.
Yeah.
And
he
then
was the guy the Yankees needed. He was the one guy needed.
By my dad's request, the pinch fielder is Alex Cora. He made me do that one.
He knows what's coming. He knows what's coming.
Cora was a great fielder on his time with the Sox.
Yeah.
And then in case you guys were wondering, my lineup, we got Mookie leading it off, Wade Boggs at 2, Ramirez, Ortiz, Williams, Yastrzemski, Nomar, Fisk, and Pedroia. And then, of course, I had to include a manager, and that's going to be Terry Francona. Who else? I think it's a pretty good team. I do think it definitely is favored towards a couple generations of Red Sox baseball, namely, the 2000s and the 80s, which is definitely the time that me and my dad know best. So there are for sure players that were left out. There were some great players that I just couldn't add, like Jim Rice. But are you really going to tell me you're going to take Rice over Mookie or Williams?
Yes.
No,
Really?
I gotta go with Mookie. I love him.
I mean, Jim Rice is a Hall of Famer. Mookie's not there yet. So,
Mookie's gonna be
in the future, probably
Mookie
not.
could retire this year and be a Hall of Famer.
Mookie, yeah.
And I think
he's automatically on the ballot already. And the guy's only like 27 years old.
And I think if Mookie plays another 10 or 12 years, whatever it's going to be, those are all going to be with the Dodgers. We're going to think of him as a Dodger, especially if he wins 3 more World Series with them, or whatever it is.
I'm always going to think of him as a Red Sox.
He's going to be a Dodger when he
won an MVP.
retires.
All I know is this: he won a World Series. He won a league MVP and
should have won 2 MVPs.
Yeah, he finished second in MVP voting, and he's a 3-time Gold Glover for the 4-time Gold Glover for the Boston Red Sox.
Won one in every season with the Sox.
Yeah. One thing I do love about the Red Sox, though, like compared to like when I did my Mets team, you really see the history of the Red Sox throughout all of that. When you look at like the Mets, there's a lot of modern players on there from the Mets, like as of right now, at least players that have played in this century.
The unfortunate thing about the Sox is, some of the best Red Sox players of all time. I mean, like Bill Lee, Mike Timlin, Alan Embry, Wade Boggs, Bobby Doerr never won a World Series with the Sox.
Yeah, Wade Boggs should have, but Buckner.
Bunch of them should have.
Yeah.
So that was definitely, I want to bring all of them back for one last glorious ride where we just, beat the Yankees every time. That's all I want. I don't even need the World Series. I just want to beat the Yankees.
Thank you, Aidan. On to our next topic, our last topic before winners and losers, the NFC East. So a lot's been going on in the NFC East. All of them have 3 wins somehow, and they have a combined record. They all have a combined record of 12 and 27-1.
Something
is that what it is? Something like that.
Also,
I think, yes, 12, 27-1, which is astonishing.
I want to hear this stated right now from one Noah Schwartz. Say Carson Wentz stinks. Say it now.
No more
Carson
defending
Wentz
Carson
is
Wentz
having
after
an
that.
abysmal football season.
He's putting up
Because
like
he sucks.
he's like Mark Sanchez
He
right
stinks.
now.
Pick 6 to Cleveland. The NFC East is a mess.
Still my guy
There's
though.
obviously no clear winner.
The
Whoever
NFC East is a joke.
wins the NFC East will most likely get bounced in the first round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I want to hear your guys' prediction. Obviously, the Thanksgiving game between Washington football team and Dallas become, I guess, a division up for grabs. It's an up for grabs game for the division. What'd you guys pick for that game and for the division? Who do you guys have winning the NFC East?
My pick for that game, against my better judgment, I'm picking Washington.
Yep.
And I was talking to Goldstein about this earlier today when we were in class. As much as I hate all 4 teams in that division, none of them are good. None of them deserve to make the postseason. But I have to say, even though I have Washington beating Dallas, I have Dallas winning the division.
Oh, come on.
My pick goes Dallas, Washington, Philly, New York.
Yeah,
That's how I think it's going to end.
I agree with that. I can't say Eagles mainly because Carson Wentz playing terrible. No team wins the NFC East back-to-back years. It hasn't happened since like 2011. Also, if the Giants still had Saquon Barkley, I think I would go with them because I definitely
If
think
the Giants had Barkley, of course it would be them.
I think I would go with them, but because Barkley is out, I don't know. We've never seen Daniel Jones play in like critical games, so I don't know how he's going to do in them. I got to go with Dallas. They have the most. Besides, like in terms of they just got Dalton back. They beat a team that even though they're struggling, they're capable of putting up a lot of points in the Minnesota Vikings. So they're able to with Dalton. I think they could stay afloat. And also they showed they're getting better. I mean they nearly beat a 9-0 team with they nearly beat Pittsburgh. So I got to go with Dallas winning the division.
I just think they should put Gilbert back in instead of Dalton.
No, they should not do that.
Ben DiNucci.
Yeah, that's what they should put in, my man.
Guys, what are you talking about? They need to sign Joe Germinario.
I was just going to say that. Sign Joe
Germinario
Germinario and Will Gladney right now.
Will Gladney should have gone to the Vikings instead of the other Gladney.
Will Gladney should be playing on the Eagles right now. Why have they not reached out to him?
Yeah.
He's better
Also,
than anybody they have starting.
Also, I told y'all, Dean texted me to tell me, I told all you, Jordan Fuller, gonna be a stud. He picked off Tom Brady tonight, baby.
All right, my prediction for this just abysmal, just horrendous division that I hate to even talk about. Why are we giving them the time here? But
why not?
I guess I have to pick the Eagles. I mean, they're the team that I thought was gonna win from the beginning. They're still in first place, so you have to give them that. But they are just playing just so poor right now. It is. Let me tell you this: there has never been a team that I've actually wanted to win games that is more frustrating to watch than this year's Philadelphia Eagles because they should be beating people. They have a talented team. They're mostly healthy.
All of them should be beating people. They all have talented rosters.
No,
Yeah, but
the Washington doesn't.
The Giants. The Giants have been in so
has a
many
fantastic roster.
No, they don't.
No,
I don't think they do.
All right, but also, guys, I want to ask you this question: for whichever team wins this division, what will their record be? I'm going to say 6-10.
6-10, and I'm not saying 6-9-1 because we know it's not going to be the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it has to be 6-9-1.
Actually,
can we say they're going to have 5 wins? Just
Yeah, sure.
5-10-1
5-10-1.
Eagles. It could happen. The crazy thing is that it really could happen.
You know what the sad thing is? Because you know how like
no. Actually, no. Yes, it could.
The saddest thing about this, besides that all these teams are pathetic, is that like you go on shows like you go on ESPN, you go on FS1, like on Undisputed and
First. They don't talk about it.
This is all they talk about. They don't talk about like the NFC, like the Seahawks, the Cardinals. Like that's a competitive division. They talk about this because all people care about is the Cowboys.
I have a question. This division, especially this year, but last year too, has made me think about something, and I want to know what you guys would think. Is it time for the NFL to stop guaranteeing a home playoff game to division winners?
No.
Instead.
No, unless you're the NFC East.
You seed the playoffs. You're guaranteed a playoff spot if you win the division, but you're not guaranteed a top 4. That
I don't
way,
think
Oh, in terms of getting a home game?
yeah.
Oh, that I
I-
agree with.
I actually
That way-
I get behind
wild
that.
card has a better record. Like I can't stand it when like a team is like in
Exactly.
the wild card. That's
No,
12
we're gonna have the
doesn't get a home
Seahawks or the Cardinals are going to have a better record than probably than whoever comes out of the end. All three wild card teams
Yes,
are gonna have a
that I
better
agree.
record than the.
That I
than-
agree with.
I agree with.
I
They,
agree.
they should get a home game. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but they
I-
should. But the winner should get a guaranteed playoff spot, just not a home game.
Yeah, I agree. They should get a guaranteed spot,
Right.
but rank it 1 through 7 by record as long as you have those 4 teams in there.
That
No,
I
no,
agree
no.
with that.
The
I
top
agree.
2 seeds obviously they get buys. They get the home
No,
game.
just the top 1.
Oh no, now I forgot they changed that. So yeah, but yeah, so yeah, what you said. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Washington winning the division with a record of 6-10.
Alex Smith, the comeback story.
That, and first of all, I just want to note that the NFC East has hit an all-time low.
Yeah, at least
This
last year-
division,
At least
Has
last year
him.
it was 9-7.
Yeah,
you
literally.
know, five years ago, 2015, the Redskins won the division 8-8, 9-7 with Kirk Cousins, and at one point they were at a low point. 5 years later, it seems like nothing has changed in the NFC East. There's just still this going on.
But guys, I want you to know this. I want you to know whichever team wins this division, they're winning their first round matchup.
No, they're
No,
not.
yeah.
They're not.
The Cardinals or the Bucks are
No.
going to pounce the
There's
winner.
been
The Seahawks were better than this.
There's been 2 7-9 teams to make the playoffs. They've both
You
won
had
the
to
wild
remind
card.
me of that.
Yeah,
They
but neither.
both won the
Yeah,
wild card.
but neither of those teams, Jack. I know it was
Are as bad as
Carolina
these guys.
and then the Seahawks. Neither of those teams were as awful as any of the 4 teams in this division. Those teams were 7-9. If you get 7 wins in this division, you're
That's
like
so
on another
weird.
stratosphere compared to everybody else.
Both 7 and 9 teams that have made the playoffs have had something to do with the Saints. Either it was the Panthers who were in the Saints division, or it was the Seahawks who had freaking Beastquake. God, I hate 7 and 9 playoff teams for that. That's the only reason.
Do you like 5-10-1 playoff teams though?
What?
Do you like 5-10-1 playoff teams though?
I'll take it. No.
As long as it doesn't involve the Saints for Aidan, he's okay.
As long
with
as it doesn't involve the Saints embarrassingly losing once again in the playoffs.
It actually could involve the Saints because the Saints
Shut
would
up.
play them in the
I don't
second
wanna hear
round.
it. I don't want to hear
If
it.
it holds up
I
this
don't
way.
want to hear
No,
it.
they win the first round. They don't win the second.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up this show. Moving on from that abysmal division. Winners and losers. I believe me and Noah are winners this week. Jack and Aidan are losers. Noah started off.
Yeah, my winner, and there's a lot you could pick from. Mine would have to be Fred VanVleet, an undrafted player, a guy who nobody really knew outside of big college hoops fans that watch Wichita State. And he comes into the league and he has to find a spot on Toronto. And 3 years later, he's a champion and a 6th man of the year candidate. And now a year later, he's one of the best young players in the game and has $85 million for his new contract. Congratulations to Fred VanVleet. To come from where he came from to become the star that he is today, really inspiring. And he's just a great player. Everybody knows it.
I'll go next. My loser, and I think it's pretty obvious what it's going to be. My loser is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had a nasty ACL, MCL knee injury. It's very likely that, well, I don't want to say very likely, but it's possible that he can miss. Well, obviously he's going to miss the rest of this season. He could potentially miss all of next season. So now I've said that. I want to state this. I've been saying this whole season. Hey, Trevor, injuries can happen at any time. You don't know if you're going to be the same. You know what Joe Burrow probably thinks in the back of his head? Gosh, it's a good thing that I have at least $20 to $25 million in guaranteed money.
I feel terrible for Joe Burrow.
Isn't
He's
that
such
nice?
a great player
Yeah,
as a
no.
young kid.
Yeah, he's going to be. He was going to be so special. I hope he can come back and be stronger than ever.
Yeah.
So all the prayers go out to him and his family. I hope he comes back and Bengals can get rolling again.
Yeah. My winner of the week is none other than, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Rodrigo Blankenship. Because why not?
Yes.
In overtime against the Green Bay Packers, defensive rookie of the year candidate Julian
Matt Cain.
Blackman forced DeForest Buckner, recovered the ball, and of course, to win the game, who else? Is there anybody else than the best kicker in the NFL right now, the goggles himself, Rodrigo Blankenship? And my other winner is the Buffalo Bills because the Patriots lost, the Jets lost, and For once, the team that has been on the Bills' grill, the Miami Dolphins, finally lose. Tua gets sacked 7 times, and Fitzpatrick, sorry, Jack and Noah, a few years ago against the Bills, 2 now, once again fails in clutch time.
I hate you.
My loser this week
Love you, Tua.
is Taysom Hill fantasy owners. Because last week he was eligible in fantasy as a quarterback and a tight end, but ESPN has officially changed that. He is now only available as a quarterback.
Oh, thank God. I'm playing against him this week. Let's
double
go.
down in your league like I did in multiple leagues last week. I had Russell Wilson and Taysom Hill starting in one league. I had Deshaun Watson and Taysom Hill in another league. It was amazing. You can't do that this week. He's only a quarterback. He's still going to put up great points. I would definitely recommend starting him against the Broncos. But yeah, that's my loser.
All right.
That's going to do it for this edition of Agree to Disagree. I'm Dean Gutik alongside Noah Schwartz, Aidan Chard, and Jack Sello. Go check us out on Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go follow us on Instagram at Agree to Disagree _VIC, Twitter, A2D _ VIC, and what's the Facebook again, Noah?
It's just the Facebook group, Agree to Disagree,
Yeah.
VIC.
Also, go check out our buddy Lucas's podcast, Share the Rock. Great listen.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.